growing calls to rename the Gillooly's Interchange after world-renowned human rights lawyer and anti-apartheid activist Advocate George Bizos. It's one of the country's busiest interchange. Gauteng Geographical Names Committee member Sheena Satike says the move is motivated by the late Advocate's crucial contribution to democracy. So let's bring into this conversation MMC for Transport, Al Congobeso. Thank you so much, MMC, for your time this morning. You know, in order for us to be able to speak about George Bizos as well as the renaming of the Gillooly's Interchange, we actually have to go back to discover what was the meaning of Gillooly's Interchange in the first place. And I was preparing for this conversation. I actually took some time to research where does the origin of Gillooly's part actually comes from. And it's from an Irish origin, and I'll actually read it to you. Irish surname that originates from pre-10th century Gaelic surname, which translates literally the son of the follower of the shoulder. That was what Gillooly's Interchange was named for, the son of the follower of the shoulder. Some of these names, I mean, Irish origin, you wonder how, as South Africa, did we allow even such terms to exist when even the origin of it is not necessarily that much known to us?
No, absolutely, Faith, and thanks for having me, and good morning to your viewers as well at home. But for me, Faith, it's a question of, is it a priority now when our citizens, the residents of Ekurhuleni, are faced by unemployment, Eskom, the petrol price that is going up? There are 119 informal settlements in the city of Ekurhuleni. People are still living in the shacks, no access to clean water, using chemical toilets. For me, those are the priorities that we should be faced with. But I agree with you, without underscoring the role that George Bizos, played in our democracy, that such names have no place for us. But for now, I don't think it's a priority. I must be honest with you.
Yeah, and speaking about priorities, we've lamented time and time again in the South African discourse that I think, especially when it comes to what we want to change and what we do not want to change, name changes should have been conversations that were actually supposed to be happening even with the dawn of democracy, that we cannot stick with names that represent a historical context that is painful for the majority of South Africans and keep that going for a long period of time. But as you're saying, that we should be looking at how do we alleviate poverty, marginalized people in this country, how do we start solving for even Ekurhuleni, right? And some of the settlements that exist within the Ekurhuleni context. So if we've got misplaced priorities, who's misplacing our priorities then?
Well, I think it's a national government because as councillors elected by the residents of Ekurhuleni, we know in terms of our IDPs, what is it that our residents are looking at? And those are the things that we should be concentrating. The issue of renaming of buildings and streets, it's the last thing on the residents of Ekurhuleni. It's not even a priority for now because, as you can see, especially among the youth, we're looking at about 63% in the city of Ekurhuleni, and the unemployed youth who needs job. For us, we are sitting in a time bomb if we don't address such issues and informal settlement, the living conditions of people in the hostels and stuff like that. So those are the issues that we should be faced with. Renaming of street names and buildings, it's a nice to have. But for now, it's not really a priority as far as I'm concerned, Faith.
Yeah. Help us out here, MMC. You're saying this comes in from national government. Under normal circumstances, this kind of project will be spearheaded by the Department of Arts and Culture, would it not?
Yes, it will be. But the fact of the matter is that even the residents of Ekurhuleni have not been engaged, they have not been consulted as far as this issue is concerned. So there's still a long way to go before we can even, they are talking about before the end of the year, but residents must be consulted. And before that can happen, I don't see this taking off at all.
And the reason why I ask you about the Department of Arts and Culture is because I have to ask you then, if the Department of Arts and Culture, A, did not consult residents of Ekurhuleni and perhaps even local government about this very same proposal for a name change. B, as you're saying, the residents of Ekurhuleni have got bigger issues to worry about. That is around just basic survival. Does that mean that the arts and culture in itself is failing to actually be in line with the pulse of the people and the needs of the people of the time. And I mean, this is not the first time we speak about the Department of Arts and Culture, is it not? Because not so long ago were we not proposing a 22 million rand flag. And now we're also proposing a Philharmonic orchestra that's going to cost us about 30 million rand or so. So in that regard, with name changing and the like, does that mean the Arts and Culture Department is not necessarily, the finger's not on the pulse of the people?
The Arts and Culture Department it's not in touch with the reality on the ground. I mean, we touch people on the ground on daily basis, Faith. We know exactly what people are saying to us. They want their lives to be changed. All these flags and orchestra, really, people, they don't want to see those things. People want to see the real change that will change their lives. We are here as this multi-party coalition government in the city of Ekurhuleni. We want to change the lives of our people, not just to, be busy with orchestras and flags that really had nothing to do with the reality on the ground.
Then, MMC, is that message reaching to the National Department of Arts and Culture, that you're writing back and saying, guys, thank you very much for the suggestion of a name change, though it's got Gaelic, as I was reading, Gaelic context and historical meaning, but it's not the priority of Ekurhuleni right now. You want to help Ekurhuleni, then help us be able to prioritize certain budgets so that we can actually assist the youth unemployment crisis or even reindustrialization of certain aspects. Are you reaching that message at national level, or are you just being blue-ticked?
No, we are reaching that message. We are in touch with the government. We write back to all departments. Remember, there are 3 spheres of government: your local government, the province, as well as national. So there is IGR, the integrated government relations that takes place on quarterly basis. We do raise these issues, but I think it's just falling on deaf ears as far as that is concerned.
So are they ignoring you then, MMC?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
So that if you're being ignored as local government on a proposed name change that is supposed to happen within your jurisdiction, how do you respond to that? Is that not a level of disrespect?
It is, because a national government cannot just come in, or a department from the national government can just come and impose the project that without consulting the local government, because we are the ones who must implement all these name changes. And really, it's a disrespect on our side as far as that is concerned, because Gillooly is in Ekurhuleni. I'm the MMC for roads and transport in the city of Ekurhuleni. So I will be the one who must implement that. But if the residents are not consulted, we are not going to go that way. I can assure you now.
How much would it cost for this name change?
They haven't given us figures as yet, but you can imagine it will run into millions of rands just to change that intersection, and the millions that we don't have, the millions that we should be investing in the services that we are rendering to our residents.
So then what would you like the Department of Arts and Culture, while we're having this conversation, to actually know about this? As I said, and as you've admitted, it gets spearheaded by the National Department of Arts and Culture. So then what's the message back to them?
Well, the message is very clear, Faith, is that if you have this money at your disposal, please give it to us. We've got better things to use it on the ground. We've got people that are living in poverty. We've got informal settlement that needs to be eradicated. We have people who are living in the hostels in unbearable conditions. Please give us that money as a grant. We will use it accordingly so that we change the lives of our people instead of rushing into name changing, street name changing and other unnecessary issues for now, because it's not a priority as far as the residents of Ekurhuleni is concerned.
Yeah. How then do we start dealing effectively as a country? I'd just like your take on it before we let you go, MMC. On, as I said, some of these names represent a lot of pain, a lot of hurt. Some of these names carry the apartheid history of this country, which I'm sure if anybody has been directly impacted by apartheid, which is the majority of the people of this country, would not want something that exists to represent them. A name on a street, for example, is very hurtful to somebody who's had to lose a loved one fighting for the liberation of this country. So how then do we start tackling being able to deal with the injustices of our past, but at the same time keep in mind the needs of our present?
No, absolutely. Faith, the unbalances of the past and injustices, we need to change that. I think I agree with that. But for now, what is more important, people are living in poverty. People are living in unbearable conditions. So that is on top of the priority of the residents of Ekurhuleni as we speak now. Name change, and I agree, at some point, it's a nice to have. Once everything has been sorted out, your load shedding, your petrol price, it's a nice to have. But for now, residents, they just want tangible things that will change their lives going forward. We've got people who are still using chemical toilets, 190 informal settlements in the city of Ekurhuleni, people who don't have flushing toilets. Those are the issues that we should be faced with for now. And the renaming and redressing the imbalances of the past does not come as a top in the priority of residents' faith.
Yeah, so it's a no from you when it comes to name changing, especially when it comes to the Gillooly's interchange, and a no to the department that is responsible for this.
It's no for me for now. Really, it's no for me for now. There are far more reaching challenges faced by our residents in Ekurhuleni. So for me, it's a no for now.
We'll leave it there. MMC for Transport, Al Kongobesa, is just saying nope to the Gillooly's interchange proposal there for a name change to George Bizos interchange, saying that we've got other priorities in the country that we get to worry about, and changing a name is not necessarily something that is to be a concern right now. Also saying that the Department of Arts and Culture really needs to look at its priorities as well as be able to put its pulse on some of these contentious issues that are affecting South Africans on a day-to-day basis. But